walking through some of the political angles vis-a-vis President Trump, J.D. Vance, a Catholic convert who many believe may run for president in short order, by the way, and the appointment of the new Pope, Pope Leo the 14th. You know, Roger, when I also look on the question of illegal immigration, I think this is something where a lot of people get wrapped up in these ideas where they say, oh, it's, you know, it's people are just evil. They're doing this because of greed, etc. Yes, but also this is a big business. It's a huge business. And by the way, Catholic charities and Lutherans, and there are Jewish organizations, and many other organizations out there using the name, the good name, by the way, of religion to launder in money from the taxpayer that then goes into their pockets and then would go off to others to be able to get the spigot turned back on. That's something that a lot of people don't want to actually talk about, but is something that President Trump and our new Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, have absolutely been targeting. Roger, do you agree with my assessment that there's a financial element to all of this?
Jack, there's no question about it. I think the American people owe a great debt of gratitude to Elon Musk and his DOGE operation for exposing this. So yes, illegal immigration is a big multi-million, if not billion-dollar business. Now you add in the cartels and the role that they have played. Look, I think the president should meet with the new pope as soon as is feasible. Should certainly invite him for a sit down and to begin to perhaps explain to him the facts about illegal immigration and the great danger of these satanic, violent, criminal gangs. Instead of the Pope persuading the president, perhaps the president can persuade the Pope. These, of course, are not matters of the church. These are pastoral matters that Francis spoke out about. He seemed to have a very, very leftist political agenda. We agree he was good on some fundamental moral issues, like the entire gender agenda, for example. And he held the line as far as being pro-life. His views on gays, that gays were welcome in the church, they could be blessed, hate the sin, not the sinner. I even agree with that. But when he got into matters of American politics, like illegal immigration, for example, or accommodation with the evil of Chinese communism, where, in all honesty, Pope Francis really let the Chinese communists dictate who could be a bishop and I believe a priest in China, I think he got outside of his appropriate area, in all honesty.
Well, and Roger, there's other information, by the way, specifically where the U.S., the Vatican just recently was seeking U.S. assistance, and people really need to hear about this. Just a couple years back, where there was the Vatican Bank scandal. And what was the Vatican Bank scandal directly associated with? It was real estate. It was money it was money throughout Italy, and in some cases there was even money, by the way, in Peru. Peru, which is exactly where the new pope hails from, looking for $1 billion for this financial scandal where they want this to come in. And so, look, as a Catholic, of course, I pray for the Pope. I am certainly sure that all Catholics pray for the Pope, and I would encourage all Catholics to pray for the Pope. But in fact, there was an organization, and I'm trying to pull their name up here. Catholic Herald has this was news just about a month ago when J.D. Vance visited the Vatican, and Cardinal Parolin was directly associated with it. Financial crimes committed by a powerful Catholic entity called Soldatum Christianae Vitae, which was SCV, which was based in Peru. And in fact, there were huge allegations of financial scandals. So the question, of course, is was this Prevost was, as a bishop, a very high level bishop and cardinal out of Peru. The question is, was he associated with this? Is he investigating this? Clearly, there's a lot of questions going on here. But at the end of the barrel is this: the Vatican is not exactly as rich, or at least as cash heavy, as a lot of people think. Isn't that right, Roger?
I think what you mean to ask, Jack, is what did Pope Leo know and when did he know it? That's precisely what we know.
I was gonna go there. I didn't go there, but you went. But of course, Roger Stone will go there.
Look, it also appears, just based on my own reading, that the Pope, the previous Pope, and his advisors made a number of bad investment decisions, which further weakened the financial standing of the church. Now, I think the church is rich, but I also think that they're very rich, but they may not be that liquid. I think there are a lot of real estate holdings,
Exactly.
for example, but I think they have liquidity problems. And if they're looking for the United States to bail them out, well, they're looking in the wrong place because these days we're putting America first. I don't know about you, Jack, but I'm not tired of winning yet. But this has been an incredible 72 hours. We have a trade deal with the Chinese, at least the framework of one. Scott Bessent, I think, one of the president's very best appointees, perhaps the most brilliant Secretary of the Treasury since Alexander Hamilton. We have a ceasefire brokered by the United States between India and Pakistan. We have a new deal to cut the price of prescription drugs, which I think is going to be extraordinarily popular with the American people. We have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Not only looking into geoengineering, also known as chemtrails, but moving aggressively to outlaw certain very dangerous additives in our food and the food that we're being sold. So the president he is making progress on all fronts, but he's doing so by putting America first instead of putting America last. Again, the Pope should be more concerned about where he stands with the president than the other way around.
Well, Roger, when we see from the UK to China to now going to the Middle East, and certainly this highlights the role of Saudi Arabia and as a real broker in the world as we shift the axis of the world clearly. And I think from anyone's who's being honest, the geopolitical axis of the world is shifting from a unipolar world to a multipolar world. Certainly China is part of that, certainly India, Russia, Europe, the United States. We are no longer the sole superpower. The uniglobal moment, the unipolar movement is over. And Saudi Arabia, in just a quirk of fate and thanks to the power of the petrodollar, really is kind of the center of many of these poles. As well, by the way, many of them use their counterpart in the Gulf, Iran. And there's a reason that a world that runs off of oil would, of course, be so focused on these two powers. Roger, what do you expect out of President Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia?
Well, first of all, I think he is resisting the war hawks in his own administration, who are telling him that he needs to strike Iran. He and the vice president and his negotiators, including Marco Rubio, who I think is really doing a phenomenally good job, have signaled that we are prepared to talk to the Iranians about their having some nuclear program, but not one that includes weaponization, not one that includes the ability to create nuclear weapons. This is a step in the right direction. For those who think that some kind of strike on Iran don't understand that the Iranians would immediately shut down the Strait of Hormuz, that you'd have an immediate spike in world fuel prices, including here in the United States. They're unrealistic about the implications of an immediate strike. We seem to be moving away from Israel in that regard. I think that's a good thing, Jack.
Well, Roger, and this is something where people need to understand that a lot of Middle East politics, and I've said this for so long, it's certainly something I gleaned during my time as an intelligence officer. A lot of the Middle East politics and the shifting geopolitical tectonic plates of that part of the world, which really is a place where all of these poles kind of come together, it can be boiled down to, the sides that support Saudi and the Arab side and those who support Iran and the Shia side, so the the Sunnis and the Shias. And it really does boil down to the Saudis versus the Persians. And of course, this is a situation where President Trump, I think, rightly understands that rather than back one side in the war, the better goal for America and launch a new war, the better goal for America would be to seek a peace deal while maintaining the security and stability of the region.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely true. On the other hand, this could be a very tough negotiation with the
Oh, yeah.
Iranians. When we, unfortunately, unwisely, when Joe Biden ended the sanctions program and we handed over $190 billion to a rogue regime, they didn't use that money to help the people. For example, the cost of food right now in Iran is off the charts. They used it to finance and underwrite terrorism. Hamas, Hezbollah, making the attack on Israel October 7th entirely possible. So these people, all they really have is their nuclear program. They're not going to give it up easily. I mean, their nuclear weapons program, they're not going to give it up easy. I think they are playing for time, but they're with a master negotiator, as he's already demonstrated in the situation with Russia and Ukraine. He does have infinite patience, but finally it appears that he's going to get the Ukrainians and the Russians to the table.